بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم إنا نستهديك لأرشد أمرنا وزدنا علما ينفعنا نويت التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Respected brothers, elders, friends, sisters listening at home, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we continue the Tafseer of Surah Maryam. In the previous two sessions, Alhamdulillah, we managed to go through the first ruku, the first section of the surah, where we talked about mainly about Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam and his son Hazrat Yahya alayhi salam. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the next few verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Maryam alayhi salam and her son Isa alayhi salam. So you can see the ulama mention the connection between all of the verses of the Quran. Just like all of the surahs are connected in the Quran, the verses of the Quran and the you could say the rukus and the sections of the Quran are all connected. So the connection here is obvious in the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the previous ruku talking about the story, the miraculous birth of Yahya alayhi salam, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to mention something even more miraculous in terms of the birth of Isa alayhi salam. I do apologize, I haven't had a chance to go through the slides in terms of adding the sort of effects, but inshallah we do need to pick up the pace, so inshallah it'll be a bit more quicker, and we do have a lot to go through, and we've only got a few days left inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واذكر في الكتاب مريم إذ انتبذت من أهلها مكانا شرقيا فاتخذت من دونهم حجابا فأرسلنا إليها روحنا فتمثل لها بشرا سويا. And mention Maryam alayhi salam in the book. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he opened the surah with ذِكْرُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ عَبْدَهُ زَكَرِيَّا, mentioning Zakaria alayhi salam, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying now we are going to mention Maryam alayhi salam. What happened with Maryam alayhi salam? إِذٍ تَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. إِذٍ تَبَذَتْ. Mention the time when she withdrew in seclusion from her family to go to a place far to the east. To go to a place in the east. A place in the east. We know that Maryam alayhi salam was living in the vicinity of Masjid al-Aqsa, Baytul Maqdis. So the ulama mentioned that it seems like she went to a quiet place in the compound of Al-Aqsa towards the east, maybe because it was like the cold season and you would get better sun in that period, or whatever the case. But Maryam alayhi salam, she went into seclusion in Masjid al-Aqsa. She was already in Masjid al-Aqsa, she was worshipping, and she was just doing khidmah in Masjid al-Aqsa, in Baytul Maqdis. Zakaria alayhi salam was obviously looking after her, and Zakaria alayhi salam has now been given glad tidings of his son who is going to be born. Maryam alayhi salam, she then withdrew into this the eastern area of Baytul Maqdis. Then فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. She veiled herself from the people. Then we sent our ruh, meaning Jibreel alayhi salam, فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. And he appeared before Maryam alayhi salam in a human form, in a sound form, in a human form. Jibreel alayhi salam being an angel, he has many wings, 600 wings, it comes in one narration. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself, he saw Jibreel alayhi salam in his original form. But many a time when Jibreel alayhi salam would come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he would come in the human form. Does anybody know which companion Jibreel alayhi salam would take the form of when he would come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? Dihya Kalbi radiyallahu anhu. He was a famous companion, and many a time Jibreel alayhi salam would come in his form to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Anyway, to Maryam alayhi salam, she is worshipping in Baytul Maqdis, and she is away from everybody. She's in seclusion, and all of a sudden she sees in a figure, a very you could say a nurani, full of light, because he was an angel. Obviously he was in a human form, but his Jibreel alayhi salam, he was full of nur. So she sees this figure in the distance.
We don't know who it was.
No, we don't know what figure, what form Jibreel alayhi salam was in when he went to Maryam alayhi salam, but he was in human form. Okay, he wasn't in his original form. So then what happens? What does Maryam alayhi salam say? قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. She said, verily I take refuge from thee with the compassionate Rahman if thou art God-fearing. Meaning I seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection from you if you are a God-fearing and God-conscious person. Obviously she would have been able to notice that somebody is coming, and seeing the light on the face of Jibreel alayhi salam, she would have known that he's a pious person. So for a pious person is enough to say that I seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection. I am, I don't, what are your intentions? What are you here for? The ulama mentioned that as soon as she mentioned this, Jibreel alayhi salam also, he became shook at the mention of Ar-Rahman. Because Jibreel alayhi salam, he is one of the mightiest angel. But on hearing the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also shook. And he said to Maryam alayhi salam, as we'll see in the next verses, that it's okay. I'm here with a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ulama say here also that Maryam alayhi salam, what was she doing? That the first thing, if somebody approaches you, then the first thing is that you warn them with your words. And if then further on you need to carry out other action. But Maryam alayhi salam, she knew that this was a very blessed figure just by seeing the nur on the face. She knew it was sufficient just to mention this warning and mention fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Jibreel alayhi salam, obviously he had come with a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so there was nothing for Maryam alayhi salam to worry about, as we will see. So what did Jibreel alayhi salam reply? قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. He says that I am only an envoy or a messenger of your Lord. What am I here to do? لأهب لك غلاما زكيا, to gift thee a son pure and faultless. Jibreel alayhi salam is just informing Maryam alayhi salam, there is no need to worry. I have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I have been given the task. The task is to لِأَهَبَ لَكِ غُلَامًا زَكِيًّا, to give you this pure and faultless son. Here we can already see that Jibreel alayhi salam is mentioning about Isa alayhi salam, and he's calling him غُلَامًا زَكِيًّا. He's going to be a pure and a faultless child. Okay, not like what the Jews, they believe with regards to Isa alayhi salam. They don't accept him, number one, as a prophet, and then they slander his mother and they accuse her of all sorts of things. But Jibreel alayhi salam is affirming that this is a pure son from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's going to be your son, and you're going to give birth to Isa alayhi salam. Maryam alayhi salam, she replies to Jibreel alayhi salam. What does she say? قالت أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي غُلَامٌ وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. She says that, how is it possible, how shall I bear a son when no man has touched me, nor am I unchaste? Maryam alayhi salam, a very pure woman, and she said that, how can I have a baby? Because in order to have a baby, normally the normal circumstances is that the husband and wife, they have a baby. But she said, I'm just a single woman. How is it possible for a single lady to have a baby? There's only two ways for a lady to have a baby, either in wedlock or out of wedlock. Maryam alayhi salam says that I am, neither of these are going to happen with me. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the purity of Maryam alayhi salam. Maryam alayhi salam, she was a very pure lady, very chaste lady. That's why it says, فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا, that she went into seclusion. And even now, if we look at the Christians, when they depict Maryam alayhi salam, obviously we don't agree with these depictions, but she'll always have like a scarf on or something like that, more similar looking to our Muslim women than to modern Christian women. So this is Maryam alayhi salam's reply. Jibreel alayhi salam, he further explains to Maryam alayhi salam that no worry, similar to what we see when Yahya alayhi salam was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same reply is given. That قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين. That so it shall be. That this is how it's going to be. You don't have to worry. How is it going to happen? This is how it's going to be, and not just that. قال ربك هو علي هين. Your Rabb says that giving a child without a father is very simple, hayyin, is very easy for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is no difficult task. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And so that we may make him a sign for the people, by which they can realize our power, and a mercy from us, for those who follow Isa alayhi salam. And this has وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. This has been a decided matter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Maryam alayhi salam that this is very easy. And the ulama say, look, first you have Adam alayhi salam. Adam alayhi salam, did he have a father or a mother? No. He was created from no man and no woman. Directly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without a man, without a woman. Hawa alayhi salam, how was she created? She was created from Adam alayhi salam. So she was created from just a man. Okay? So now what's left? Just to be, everybody else is created from a man and a woman. Adam alayhi salam is created from no man, no woman. Hawa alayhi salam is created from a man, and the only thing that's left is to create somebody with only a woman. And that is Isa alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing his complete power. He can create with a man, with a woman, without a man, without a woman, with just a man, or with just a woman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power is infinite. He can create, يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create however he wishes. Obviously, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala normally has made it for normal human beings is with a man and woman, but sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to show his power, he will show us these things. So this is the miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing that I can create without the need of a man. And this is why it's happening here. And then he's saying that Jibreel alayhi salam is talking about Isa alayhi salam, that number one, he's going to be a sign. A sign for the people on the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will see the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. He was a mercy. All of the Anbiyas were mercy. Jibreel and Isa alayhi salam was no exception. He was a special mercy. He was such a merciful person. And also for the people who would follow him, they also became very merciful themselves, because they took on the attributes, of Isa alayhi salam. Him being a merciful, kind and gentle person, his followers, his true followers, they were also kind and gentle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا فِي قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُ رَأْفَةً وَرَحْمَةً. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we placed into the hearts of the true followers of Isa alayhi salam this mercy and compassion. And that's why you find that the true followers of Isa alayhi salam, they were very merciful and they were very compassionate. And that's why when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he sent his companions to Abyssinia, and the king of Abyssinia, when the companions did hijrah to Abyssinia, does anybody remember what the king was called there in Abyssinia, the Christian king? Najashi. And he heard the verses of the Quran and he began to cry, because he was a true follower of Isa alayhi salam. So he had this soft and tender heart from following the true teachings of Isa alayhi salam. So then what happens? فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. She then conceived him and she retired with him to a place far off. She conceived him and then she went to a place far off. This is the one slide where we'll have some pictures, I think. Where did she go? She went to, I don't know if you can see that, she went to, afterwards, later on she goes to Bethlehem, what is known as Bethlehem, or in Arabic, Baytul Lahm. Okay, and as Muslims we believe that was, many ulama have mentioned that was the place where Isa alayhi salam was buried. So we can agree on the place, okay, but other than that, obviously the story which is made up of, Mary and Joseph and what people learn in school and all of that, obviously we don't accept any of that. But other than that, Maryam alayhi salam, after Jibreel alayhi salam, he blew the ruh of Isa alayhi salam into her. It comes in the narrations that Jibreel alayhi salam, he blew the ruh of Isa alayhi salam, and then Maryam alayhi salam, she conceived Isa alayhi salam. So now Maryam alayhi salam is with child. So she's worried that what's going to happen. Well, are people going to believe me? Because the people of the time, and as we'll see, some people, they didn't believe her. there's some people that accused her of things. Na'udhu billah. So she went home. Obviously, she left Aqsa. She went to her auntie's house. Yeah. Does anybody remember who her auntie was? Not Hannah. Isha. Yeah. And Isha was the wife of Zakaria alayhi salam. Yeah, so Zakaria alayhi salam was an uncle in the sense that he was married to her auntie. So she went to visit her auntie also, and her auntie is now carrying Yahya alayhi salam. So her auntie says that, she gives her the glad tidings that, oh Maryam, do you know that I am expecting a child, okay, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give us a child even at this old age. So Maryam alayhi salam, she explains to her that I am also expecting a child, and she tells her the whole story, okay, and then she stays for a while with the family, but then obviously fearing that people are not going to believe me, and she was very difficult. So then she retired, and she went away to Bethlehem, Baytul Lahm, as it's known. As you can see here, just from Google Maps, it takes about 2 hours to walk it from Masjid al-Aqsa to Bethlehem. Sorry?
Have you been?
I've been to Masjid al-Aqsa, and I think we just like drove around the area. There's not like, I don't think we stop too much there. Wallahu a'lam. There is obviously a church there, but we're not going to visit that. It also comes in narrations that when she was speaking to her khala, her auntie Isha, she was saying that it's as though I can feel that the baby that I am carrying is doing sajda to the baby that you're carrying. Meaning that obviously Yahya alayhi salam, he was like a forerunner for Isa alayhi salam. He was there. He was born slightly before, and he helped Isa alayhi salam. Obviously, he passed away before Isa alayhi salam was raised to the heavens. And just showing obviously that Isa alayhi salam is going to be a mighty messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yahya alayhi salam also, Isa alayhi salam in terms of rank, Yahya alayhi salam is, just showing his, seniority, you could say.
The church of Bethlehem, where the so-called place where the birth actually took place, they've got a very, very small door. So, even if you tried, you have to prostrate to go inside.
Subhanallah.
So that's how they made it. So everybody will prostrate as they go in. And then if you look, then there's the Christ on there. So I was aware of that, so I went backwards.
Backwards?
Yeah.
Subhanallah. That's very good, yeah. Because we don't want to prostrate, obviously, so we go backwards. Subhanallah. Now, Maryam alayhi salam, they say that at the time of giving birth to Isa alayhi salam, she was around 13, 14 years of age. And obviously she'd reached puberty by then. And then Isa alayhi salam lived on this earth for around 33 years. And then Isa alayhi salam was obviously raised to the heavens. And Maryam alayhi salam lived for a little while longer, they say about 6 years. So in total, Maryam alayhi salam's age was around 51, her total life on this earth.
How old was Isa alayhi salam? He got raised.
33. Okay.
I thought Isa was inside William's belly for 3 days.
3 days. There's difference of opinion. Some ulama say that the pregnancy was very quick, like 3 days. But the other ulama say that no, it was like a normal 9-month term pregnancy. Wallahu alam, we can't say for sure which one. So then فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا. The labor pains brought her to the trunk of a date palm from which she took support. She said, "Oh, if only I had died before this and had been completely forgotten. In that way I would not have to suffer the difficulty of being here all alone without any provisions, and I would not have to worry about the insults of people when they see me with a baby." So the time for the birth of Isa alayhi salam arrived, and now obviously the labor pains begin to start. So there was a date palm, so she held on to the date palm for support, and she was just lamenting her state. So she was worried about what people are going to say, okay? Because as you can see, some of the people, they weren't very accommodating, and they weren't very believing, okay? So she said this, that Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha wa kuntu nasyan mansiya, that if only I had, I died before this and I was just forgotten. The ulama say that this is with regards to wishing for death. Yeah, the ulama say that generally, as Muslims, we don't wish for death. We're not allowed to wish for death, meaning out of not being able to be patient. If somebody is being tested, then a person shouldn't wish for death in terms of not being able to do sabr on the tests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you are allowed if you're worried about your deen, if it's for like a deeni matter. Yeah, like it comes about many of the mashayikh. Yeah, that when it came to a time when they were worried about what's going to happen to my deen. I'm not sure if I'll be able to if my deen is going to be safeguarded in the times of fitnas that I'm seeing, then they would make these sort of wishes or du'as. But other than that, generally, so obviously Maryam alayhi salam here, she's wishing in terms of for a deeni aspect, that there's going to be accusations against me on my ismat and these types of things. So that's why Maryam alayhi salam, she made this, she said, Ya laytani mittu qabla hadha wa kuntu nasyan mansiya. The ulama say that obviously she'd been given glad tidings from Jibreel alayhi salam from before. That Jibreel alayhi salam said that li'ahab alaki ghulaman zakiya, and he's going to be a sign for he's going to be a great messenger. But obviously in that stage, due to the pains, she could have, she was just so worried and overcome. And that's why she sort of forgot about the glad tidings. But then obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sends her solace in the form of فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. But a voice cried to her from beneath her, near the palm tree, do not grieve, your Lord has placed a brook or a little stream beneath you. وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. A natural freshwater stream, and shake towards the tree trunk of the palm tree, dates will drop on thee fresh and ripe. So Maryam alayhi salam is in this state, she's going through her labor pains, and a voice calls out. Who was this voice? The ulama mentioned that either Jibreel alayhi salam is calling out to Maryam alayhi salam that don't worry, or some ulama mentioned it was Isa alayhi salam himself calling out from the womb. Wallahu alam. The message which was given is La tahzani, that don't worry, don't grieve. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided her with what she needed. Number one, she was provided with water. Okay, she was thirsty and she needed water, and obviously it's not, she shouldn't get dehydrated at this time. It's a very critical time. And not just that, the water was provided, but also dates. And how was the dates provided? In such a miraculous manner that she was just standing next to a date palm, and the ulama say that it wasn't even the date season. It was just, there was no dates on the tree, it was a dry date palm, and she was commanded to shake this date palm. And if you've ever seen a date palm, it's just one thick trunk, and nobody's got the strength to just shake the date palm and expect dates to fall down, because it's a very thick and sturdy tree. But the miracle was that her being a woman who is in the pangs of childbirth, just by her shaking it, dates fell down. So number one, the miracle in terms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving strength to her at such a vulnerable stage. Number two, the tree being like a dry tree which had stopped giving fruits. And number three, it wasn't even the season for dates, but still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing her with dates out of season. And this was commonplace for Maryam alayhi salam. We know that in her story, when she was in Masjid al-Aqsa and Bayt al-Maqdis, she would be provided with fruits out of season. And the ulama say that dates for a woman who is in childbirth or has given birth, they are very helpful, and they're very good, because they are what you call garam, they are hot. So therefore it helps the lady. Mullah Ashwali Tanwi rahmatullahi, actually, he mentions in his tafseer that dates are filling, nutritious, conducive for the production of blood and the strengthening of the back and joints. For this reason, it is the best food and medicine for labor. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing her with all the natural things that she needs, at this time. Yeah, dates and water. And this was enough for her. And we know that our Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would live a very simple life. The wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say that sometimes, months would pass and we would not cook anything in the house. So the people asked them, how did you manage to survive then if you're not cooking anything? So they said that we just survived on dates and water, aswadain, the two black things that we would survive on, just dates and water, simple diet. But in there you have all of the nutrition that you would need. In Darul Ulum, when we would study in Darul Ulum, Berry, our Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutala Sahib Rahmatullah, he would actually set a day where all of the students in the Darul Ulum would only eat dates and water, no food, maybe in the evening. But for the majority of the day, we would just suffice on dates and water, just so that we can see what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through, how, just a simple life that he went through.
How did you find it?
Alhamdulillah, it was beautiful, the best from the best days. That's when you appreciate everything. And we know, when we're in Ramadan, we have iftari, we have a few dates and water, we already feel half full. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put barakah in these dates. Now, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, or then Maryam alayhi salam is then told, فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا. Eat, drink, and cool your eyes. Cool your eyes just means be happy. It's okay. The coolness of the eyes in Arabic is just a sign of happiness. They say that you have two types of tears. You have hot tears and cool tears. You cry hot tears when you're sad, but when sometimes people cry out of joy. So those are known as cool tears. So cool your eyes, meaning it's okay, be happy. فَإِمَّا تَرَيِنَّ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدًا. And if you see anybody, then if you see any human being, فَقُولِي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًا. Say, verily I have vowed a fast for Ar-Rahman, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so I shall never speak to a human being today. So this is what Maryam alayhi salam is commanded to do. That now she is obviously going to return back to her people with a baby. So people are going to approach her. So Maryam alayhi salam is commanded to just say that I have vowed to keep a fast. So therefore, meaning not say that, she would obviously indicate to them, because she would indicate to them that I'm not talking, okay, I am fasting. When we fast, we have to stay away from three things in our Shariat: food, drink, and husband-wife relations. But in previous Shariats, like the Shariat which Maryam alayhi salam would follow, they would also have fasting where they would also not talk. They would do zikr and tasbih and all of that, but no talking. Okay, so based on that Shariat, in our Shariat we don't have that. When we fast, we talk. We're allowed to talk. Doesn't mean you have to talk all the time, but we're allowed to talk. But Maryam alayhi salam was told that you keep this fast, so therefore if somebody asks you, you don't have to say anything. And this was very good.
Does that mean Zakaria when he couldn't speak for 3 days, that means he was fasting?
That was a sign given to Zakaria alayhi salam. Yeah, if you remember, when Zakaria alayhi salam couldn't speak for 3 days, that was the sign. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the sign that you know that you're going to have this baby is that you're not going to be able to speak, even though you're fine. Okay, so that was the sign given to Zakaria alayhi salam. Here she was being told to keep this fast. Okay, that just stay quiet. And this is the best policy sometimes. When you are, Maryam alayhi salam, sometimes it's best not to speak to people. Yeah, if people are not going to believe you, they're not going to believe you anyway. So Maryam alayhi salam was told just not to bother, not to speak to anybody, not to say anything about it. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show the people, as we'll see, in the miraculous manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them. In terms of our Shariat, the ulama mentioned that obviously we shouldn't, stay quiet with the intention of gaining reward. If somebody says that I'm going to stay quiet today, and they think that they are doing like a ibadat, okay, then that's wrong. Obviously for Maryam alayhi salam, it was part of their fasting, so that was part of their ibadat. But for us, in our Shariat, it's not it's not an ibadat. Okay, if somebody wants to do it for like training purposes, okay, that is okay. Like sometimes some of the mashayikh, they would train some of their murids and their students. Yeah, like it comes about Hazrat Sheikh Zakaria rahmatullah alayhi and his uncle Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Sahab rahmatullah alayhi, Hazrat Sheikh Zakaria rahmatullah alayhi, before when he was young, he used to talk a lot. So his uncle said to him that, "Oh Zakaria, if you stay quiet for 40 days, I will make you into a wali of Allah." But Zakaria, Hazrat Sheikh Zakaria said that, I was young at that time, so I didn't bother with it. But then he said that later on when I grew up, and I would see my uncle and I would say, "Oh uncle, remember when you said that if you stay quiet for 40 days, then I will make you into a wali of Allah. I'm ready now, I'm ready to do 4 months of, staying quiet." But his uncle said that time has passed now. That was that time now. Obviously, as Sheikh Zakaria, he went on to become a very, great wali of Allah anyway. But so the point we're trying to say is that staying silent in our Shariat, it can be done for like practice purposes, but it's not like as an ibadat or fasting purposes. No one should think that I am keeping this fast and I'm going to be rewarded for this and that. So Maryam alayhi salam is being told to just don't say anything to anybody. Okay, let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show them. So Maryam alayhi salam now returning back to her people. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُ قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمُ لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. Then she brought the child to her people carrying him. They said to her, "Maryam, you have done a calamitous thing." So all of us, everybody, they started surrounding her and saying, "What's going on?" It became a bit of like a commotion. لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. Fariya, what does fariya mean? The ulama say it could either mean like strange, meaning, what is this? This is very strange. Maryam, you brought a child, whereas you are married. He said that some people actually, one person, na'udhu billah, they tried accusing her of zina, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately sent punishment on that person, that person became dumb and he wasn't able to speak. One lady tried raising her hands, na'udhu billah, to hit Maryam alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala straight away made that lady's hands paralyzed, showing the innocence of Maryam alayhi salam. Then further on, what do they say to Maryam alayhi salam? Ya ukhta Harun, ma kana abuki imra'a sawin wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya. O sister of Harun, your father was not a wicked man, nor was your mother unchaste. فأشارت إليه قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا. She pointed towards the child. They said, "How shall we speak with one who is in the cradle, a little child?" So they said, "O sister of Harun, this, the ulama said that she was from like the lineage of Harun alayhi salam. She wasn't a sister of Harun alayhi salam. Harun alayhi salam is the brother of Musa alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam predates Maryam alayhi salam by many hundreds of years. Okay, so she wasn't the sister of Harun alayhi salam, rather she was just from the progeny of Harun alayhi salam. So they were saying, you are from the family of Harun alayhi salam, okay, and your father, what was Maryam alayhi salam's father called? Imran. Wa Maryam ibnat Imran. Imran, so he's saying your father, he was a good person. So are you bringing shame onto your family? وَمَا كَانَتْ أُمُّكِ بَغِيًّا. And neither was your mother, unchaste. What was her mother's name? Hannah. So neither was your mother Hannah, neither was she an unchaste woman. You are from a very good family. So what is this? Okay, they are all questioning her. What does Maryam alayhi salam do? فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She just points to the child. She doesn't have to say anything, and that's what she's been told to do. You don't say anything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do it. And if somebody is true and if somebody is on the truth, then sometimes you don't have to worry about showing your innocence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reveal the truth. The truth always comes out in the end. Okay, if somebody is on the haqq, then the truth will always prevail in the end. Okay, sometimes you don't even have to bother with refuting false allegations. Sometimes you just let time pass and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let the truth out. So anyway, Maryam alayhi salam, she indicates to the child, Isa alayhi salam. What do they say? قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا. How, why are you pointing at this child for? How are we supposed to talk to this child? Why are you pointing? He said that Zakaria alayhi salam, he was also present, and he rushed and he spoke to the child, and he said that if you are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then please testify to the innocence of your mother. So then, قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. That I am the servant of Allah. He has given me the book and made me a prophet. Inni Abdullah. The first thing that Isa alayhi salam says, Inni Abdullah. He never said Inni Ibnullah. He never said I'm the son of God. He never claimed that. Nowhere, is there any claim where Isa alayhi salam said that he was the son of God. The Christians, unfortunately, they just made this up. He said, I am the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is totally refuting the fact that if he's the slave of Allah, then he can't be God. He can't be the son of God. He can't be, na'udhu billah, illegitimate or anything like that. Rather, he is the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who was granted to his mother. Atani al-kitaba. Even the Christians, many of them know that Isa alayhi salam isn't God. There was one Christian one the other day, he was saying that, he was also confused. He was saying that if Jesus was God, then who was Jesus praying to? Because if you're God, then are you praying to yourself? It doesn't make sense. So they all have, many confusions there. Obviously, if they, find out that, what Islam tells us about Isa alayhi salam, Maryam alayhi salam, and then realize that this can only be the correct, version. Atani al-kitaba wa ja'alani nabiyya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, now Isa alayhi salam is speaking, and he's saying that number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the book. Has given me the book, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give me the book. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا, and has made me a prophet, meaning this is certain, this is going to happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make me a prophet. The ulama say that Isa alayhi salam, obviously he spoke whilst he was whilst he was a child, and then that stopped. It was just the miracle was there. Everybody saw Isa alayhi salam speaking. They understood the innocence of Maryam alayhi salam, and then like a normal child, he went back to just starting to speak later on at the late when 1 years old, 2 years old. Then Isa alayhi salam further says, وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me blessed and mubarak, full of barakah, full of blessings, أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ, wherever I be. And He has commanded me بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا, to perform salah and with zakat as long as I remain alive. And the ulama say here, Mubarak. Isa alayhi salam was very blessed. He was a blessed individual. Naturally, being a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's going to be blessed. The ulama say he would enjoin good, forbid evil, he would guide people, he would help people, and he was just he would just give da'wah to the people, and he would call the people. There's a famous incident about Isa alayhi salam. Like he had nothing to do with the dunya. He wasn't bothered with the dunya. Once he was traveling, and one Yahudi said to him that let me join you. Okay, I want to travel. I'm going that direction also. So why don't we travel together? Okay. So Isa alayhi salam said that's fine. We've got 3 loaves of bread, and this should be enough for our journey, inshallah. So they're traveling, and then they come to a stop. And they say, okay, we've got 3 loaves of bread. Isa alayhi salam says to the other person that I'll take one, you take one, and we'll save one for later. So they eat 1 loaf of bread each, and Isa alayhi salam goes just to maybe make wudu or something, and then Isa alayhi salam comes back, and they're going to carry on their journey, and he says that he realizes that the 3rd loaf of bread is gone. So he said that, no, where's the 3rd loaf of bread? What's happened to it? So that his companion said, I don't know what happened to it. I don't know who took it. Isa alayhi salam says, okay, no problem. I'm not going to, question you any further. Then they carry on, going and traveling, and they come across like a herd of goats. And Isa alayhi salam, he calls one of them, and the goat just comes, and Isa alayhi salam, he slaughters it, and they both eat from it. And then once they've eaten to their fill, then Isa alayhi salam makes dua, and the goat, which is now just bones, it comes back to life. And Isa alayhi salam says to his companion that by the one who revived this, made this goat come back to life, who took that 3rd loaf of bread? And he says that, I don't know. I don't know, it wasn't me. So then they carry on. Isa alayhi salam says, okay, that's fine, no problem. And then Isa alayhi salam carries on, and they come across a person who is blind. Isa alayhi salam, he passes his hands, he makes dua, he passes his hands over that person, and that person is cured. Isa alayhi salam says to his companion that, by the Allah who cured this person, who took that third loaf of bread? That person says, I don't know. It wasn't me. Isa alayhi salam says, okay, that's fine, no problem. Then they go a bit further, and then they come across some like sandy desert type place. So Isa alayhi salam, then he goes down onto the sand and he makes like 3 bricks out of sand, like 3 piles of sand, and then he makes dua, and these 3 piles of sand turn into gold. Isa alayhi salam says that there's 3 piles here, one for me, 3 piles of gold, 3 blocks of gold, one for me, one for you, and one for the person who took that third loaf of bread. So that person said, I took that third loaf of bread. So Isa alayhi salam said, okay, that's fine. You take all 3, blocks of gold. I have no need for that. I'm not bothered with all of this. Yeah, and we need to separate our ways. Clearly, you're not a good companion to be with. Yeah, you've been lying to me all this time. So that person takes the 3 blocks of gold, and he's traveling now alone, and some 3 robbers come and they see this person with 3 blocks of gold. So they quickly kill him and they take the gold. And now the robbers, they're carrying on. Now the gang of robbers, 3 robbers, they're feeling hungry now. So they say to one of their friends that, why don't you go into town and why don't you buy some food? We'll stay here, and let's eat a bit, because we've been tired from robbing all day. So one of them goes into town. The one who's going into town thinks that, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to get some food. Why do I just put some poison in this food? Then when I'll feed them to the poison food, they'll die, and then I'll have all 3 blocks of gold for myself. And the other 2, they're thinking that when he comes back, we don't have to share it, 33%. We might as well do 50-50. We'll kill him. 2 of us, 1 of him, we can jump him, and we'll be able to split it 50-50. So like this plan is being made. The person comes back with the food. Yeah, he just puts the food down, them to jump on him, kill him. And then they say, okay, now we'll be able to split it 50-50. And then they sit down, they eat the food, and the food has poison in it, so they're dead. So now you have 3 dead bodies and 3 gold bricks. Yeah, Isa alayhi salam, then he walks past that place. Yeah, he's traveling, and that place comes in his travels, and he's with his companions, and he says to his companions, look, this is the dunya, this is the reality of the dunya. That don't get caught chasing the dunya, because this is what the dunya does to you. Yeah, you end up, this is where it's going to lead you. So this was Isa alayhi salam. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ. He was such a blessed, mighty messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. He says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded me with namaz and zakat مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. He says that, and also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me dutiful to my mother, and He has not made me arrogant and an unfortunate person. Just like we talked about Yahya alayhi salam. In Yahya alayhi salam, he said, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ, because he had both of his parents. But obviously, Isa alayhi salam, he only had a mother. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي, that I am dutiful to my mother. And we talked about the rights of parents in the previous session. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. And peace is upon me the day when I was born, the day I die, and the day I am raised up alive. This again is showing that Isa alayhi salam cannot be a god. Yeah, can a god be born and then die and then resurrected? Yeah. A god is free from life, free from death. A god can't die. Okay.
Was this ayat repeated earlier?
This ayat was repeated earlier. Similar ayat with regards to Yahya alayhi salam. Okay. But with Yahya alayhi salam, he said it was wasalamun alayhi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving salam to Yahya alayhi salam. Whereas here, Isa alayhi salam is speaking in the in the cradle, and he is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent peace and salam on me on these 3 days. And we mentioned that these are like the most traumatic days that a person usually has to go through. The birthday, the day they die, and the day that they will be resurrected. The day Isa alayhi salam dies, we know that Isa alayhi salam hasn't died yet. Okay, he was raised to the heavens, but he will come back to this earth. He will kill the Dajjal, and then he will rule with peace, and then he will die a natural death. And where will he be buried? Next to the Prophet ﷺ in Madinatul Munawwara. There's that place reserved for him. So this is the story of Isa alayhi salam. We'll inshallah conclude it there inshallah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah in the next sessions we'll continue the maybe Ibrahim alayhi salam and the next rukus inshallah. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.